Public Trust Media Group presents 2023 Elections Update, keeping track of the electoral process. This program promotes free, fair, transparent, credible, and violence-free electoral process. I'm Frank Sainworla in Monrovia. As Liberians prepare to go to the polls, this is a half-hour radio program exclusively devoted to elections issues in the countdown to the 2023 presidential and legislative elections. And this is edition number 9.
This is the time we come together to keep our country fit forever.
In this edition today, we will be putting a spotlight on the early warning and early response system in Liberia ahead of the October elections.
We cry for peace. Lord, we cry for love in this neighborhood.
As he launches the NCCRM, Internal Affairs Minister Vanin Salif clarifies the different functions of each structure.
Let me categorically state that each structure has different functions. The NCCRM is required to coordinate all responses of early warnings and provide recommendations to government, while the PBO and others, including West Africa Network for Peace, provide early warnings.
I'll tell you, no water can put out this fire. Everyone is ready. We cry for peace.
Our regular reminder on what the law says about who is eligible to vote.
Section 3.1 says, a Liberian citizen who has attained or reached the age of 18 years or older may register as a voter, except one who has been judicially declared to be incompetent or of unsound mind.
Gauging the rate of growth in the development of democracy and elections in Liberia, two officials from the U.S. National Endowment for Democracy, NED, speak to this program at the end of the visit to Liberia.
Our most important objectives here during this visit has been to think about what the endowment can do to support democracy after the election. So, I think that, as I was suggesting, justice sector, strengthening the justice sector, rule of law are issues that we will be, I think, particularly focused on.
With NDI in Nigeria, there is Yaga Africa working with a lot of young people to educate them on their civic rights. We just came from Nigeria to observe the elections, and we saw young people were manning the polling units and really doing incredible work. And thanks to support from NED, Yaga, for example, started as a very small organization, and today has really.
Wake up, Mother Liberia, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Mother Liberia, wake up. The word is here to wake you up.
2023 Elections Update is a PTMG production in partnership with this station every week and as a podcast online. You can get us on YouTube.
All Liberians, come info to vote on election day. Be a farmer is welcome. We battle men, Shushawa, Bon Driver, Tessie Driver, it is your right to vote. Your one for me, our country, to choose a world leader for tomorrow. Yeah, be right. Let's not be right. It's our right to vote. Be right. Don't be stay away. Whatever you try to do.
Thanks for joining us. It is some 8 months to the presidential and legislative elections, and the early warning signs of the potential for violence are already getting more visible. Election in every society is a period of tensions as parties and candidates are making serious attempts to get political power. Just last week on this program, we reported a rise in the level of militancy across the board in Liberia's various political parties. Liberia is part of the sub-regional structure to give early warning response to early warning signs that emerge. At the weekend, on March 10, 2023, Internal Affairs Minister Vanning A. Salif launched the Early Warning and Early Response System in Monrovia. But before we go to Minister Vanning Salif, let's hear from Eddie Molba, Executive Director of the Peace Building Office. Our reporter Issa Farr has been speaking with him.
Early warning, our system actually had been in place a couple of years ago, but with it have been going through processes for development. To date, it been modernized with support from UNDP, the Swedish government Ireland, and of course our colleagues from Brussels that provide technical assistance on electoral management. So the purpose of launching this system is to ensure that warning information are addressed in real time. In other words, that we collect data, information, and incidents, and those incidents are analyzed and transmitted for a real-time response purpose. Real-time in terms of not to delay. For example, if there was a rape issue or if there was an electoral violence somewhere, and that incident is picked up, is communicated to the National Election Commission and that of the Liberian National Police. They should not waste any time. They should be able to respond in real time to prevent the escalation of violence, so that our peace and stability can be maintained and can be sustained, and so that we can continue to have social cohesion amongst ourselves.
Eddie Molba, Executive Director of the Peace Building Office. Speaking at the ceremony, Minister Salif made a clarification about how Liberia's early warning and early response infrastructure may seem to be polarized.
As we assemble here for the launch of this early warning mechanism, it is very historic that this is happening on the compound of ECOWAS. To begin with, the peace that we are enjoying right now, the foundation of our peace rests on ECOWAS. It was ECOWAS that showed up when we started our war in 1990, that brought troops from sister countries to come and help separate us, and we're killing one another. The ambassador left for a meeting. I just want to say to the ambassador that together we have to own this. Together we have to make sure this works. Thank you. I'm happy to be here as Minister of Internal Affairs and to see you all, having invited you all to come for this launch. Before going forward, let me clarify that our conflict early warning, early response infrastructure in Liberia may be seen to be polarized. For example, the PBO has a conflict with early warning, early response function, while the National Center for Coordination and Response Mechanism, NCCRM, another government entity, may have similar functions. Let me categorically state that each structure has different functions. The NCCRM is required to coordinate all responses of early warnings and provide recommendations to government, while the PBO and others, including West Africa Network for Peace, provide early warnings. This clarification is necessarily important because of multiple functions. With that said, I'm pleased to inform you that since 2013, the government declared conflict, early warning, and early response as a sound policy and right or political move for maintaining peace and security in our dear country. Since that time, we have tried incrementally strengthen our early warning and early response capacity with the help of our partners. We are exceedingly glad that our conflict early warning system has become decentralized at county, district, and from our community levels. The system will potentially provide accurate, actionable information in a transparent and sustainable manner to decision makers that helps to prevent violence and maintain peace and security across the country. Linked to the system are early warning monitors, coordinators, the County Peace Committee, the early warning and early response working groups, the County Peace Security Council, the National Center for Coordination of Response Mechanism, the most importantly, the National Situation Room on Election and COVID-19. The government has worked over the years with partners including UNDP, the Embassy of Sweden, SWOR, and other development partners in early warning and early response infrastructure. We deeply appreciate and recognize the incredible support of previous institutions, as was already mentioned by the Executive Director on Peace Building. Currently, this system will monitor, track, and report on 56 indicators that covers 5 thematic areas including security, health and environment, gender, governance, and human rights. Of course, most importantly, elections. Some of these are aligned to NCCRM thematic area because the work of both entities should be mutually reinforcing each other. Based on what I have been told, the system has the capacity to identify risks and threats to peace and security and raise the red flag. A real-time response will be needed in this drive. I want to appeal to policymakers, relevant government institutions, and the public to make best use of this system. This system is genuine, and this system should be there for all to promote social cohesion among us in different communities. And particularly, I want to appeal to the media and politicians to be mindful of what they put out there that will make the public not to trust whatever system we are putting in place here. Let all of us promote peace. Mindful of dissemination of misinformation, hate speech, potentially undermines everything we do. Do not prejudice a situation before it gets to be looked into. This is the only country we have as Liberians. Finally, let me once again thank all of you for coming. The UNDP, our partners, the Swedish, the Irish, for all of the support you continuously give us to make sure our country remain at peace. Having said that, before I launch, I want to say to all of us here, Council Brown, The next year is here. As we go into our elections together as a nation, we are united on this, we can get it done. We have to complement each other. This election is not going to be the one that is solely to the Edo Brown election. This election, we all as citizens of this country have to put hand together, be supportive of NEC, be supportive of sending information on this platform. So, and also, all of us putting our hands together, we have to respond. When information gets on the platform, we have to respond to this information that gets on the platform.
That was Liberia's Internal Affairs Minister Vanin Soliv launching the Early Warning and Early Response System in Monrovia. 2023 Elections Update, keeping track of the electoral process.
We took this break to bring you this special information. Public Trust Media Group, along with several radio stations, including this station, brings this weekly production of 2023 Elections Update to fill you in with the laws, processes, and happenings relating to Liberia's elections on October 10. This program informs and educates you, our listeners, including first-time voters. Public Trust Media Group, however, looks up to you, Liberia's development partners, civil society organizations, and pro-democracy group for partnership and sponsorship of this program. Please email us on fsainworla@yahoo.com or call 0770-755-173 or 0888-311573. Thanks for being part of the change maker.
Election is crucial to the building of every democracy. Election is everybody's business. So let's stay focused on the issues and in the countdown to the October polls. Ballots, not bullets.
Ladies and gentlemen, election is not war. Election is not confusion. Election is not enemies. Election is not division. Election is not tribalism. Election is not confrontation. Election is not hatred. Election is not war. I want you to let my people know that.
If you've just joined us, this is 2023 Elections Update, a half-hour radio program exclusively devoted to election issues in the countdown to the 2023 presidential and legislative elections. Welcome, I'm Frank Sainworla, and this is edition number 9. This program is heard on this station every week. 2 more stations have now been added to the list of radio partners carrying this show. They are Classic FM in Kakata, Magibi County, and YMCA Youth Radio in Bond County. Thanks, of course, to our 7 original radio partners for airing this show. ECOWAS Radio 91.5 and 97.1. Truth FM 96.1, Banner FM 98.5, Prime FM 105.5, United Methodist Radio 98.7, and Lux FM 106.5, as well as Power FM 93.3, keeping track of the electoral process. This program focuses on the issues, not personalities, spotlighting the laws, guidelines, and regulations governing the elections, as well as the civic roles and responsibilities of both voters and those to be voted for. It's a Public Trust Media Group PTMG production in partnership with this station and others every week, and as a podcast on YouTube and also on the News Public Trust website. Ahead of the October 2023 elections, a key process that must take place is the registration of voters, with Liberia for the first time attempting to do biometric voter registration, and this will be for citizens who will meet the criteria under the Liberian laws to cast the ballot on that day, election day, the second Tuesday in October. But who is eligible to vote? This is contained in Article 3 of the Voter Registration Regulation in the country's election law, and in line with Article 77 of the Liberian Constitution, which covers political parties and elections.
Section 3.1 says, a Liberian citizen who has attained or reached the age of 18 years or older may register as a voter, except one who has been judicially declared to be incompetent or of unsound mind, who has been disenfranchised as a result of conviction of an infamous crime and has not been restored to citizenship. Section 3.2 says, a person must register to vote at the voter registration center established by the NEC for the place where he or she ordinarily resides. Section 3.3 says, no person shall be allowed to register more than once during the registration period.
On the NEC elections timetable, the biometric voter registration is due to start on March 20 and end May 11 this year, with election day, as we said, set for Tuesday, October 10. And the biometric registration of voters will take place in two phases.
Let's put Liberia first in all that we do. This to the young and the old, the rich and the poor. Let's put Liberia first.
Well, we are going to close this edition of the Elections Update by gauging the rate of growth in the development of democracy and elections in Liberia from a big United States pro-democracy organization, the National Endowment for Democracy, NED. NED has over the many years been supporting the works of pro-democracy groups in Liberia in order to strengthen the country's elections and governance system. What kind of support is the group like NED giving to not only elections but tracking governance in post-elections periods? Well, when the NED delegation to Liberia ended their visit to Monrovia last weekend, 2023 Elections Update reporter Issa Farr had an exclusive with the two officials who visited the country just before their departure. But just wait a minute. Before that interview, the musical group Small Town reminds us of the upcoming biometric voter registration, which starts on March 20 and ends on May 11 this year, preparing the way for Elections Day, October 10, 2023.
All appearance, come info to vote on election day. Be a farmer, make a woman, office worker, wheelbarrow man, shoe shower, bus driver, taxi driver. It is your right to vote. Your own for me help our country to choose a real leader for tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I'm Dave Peterson. I'm the Senior Director for the Africa Program of the National Endowment for Democracy.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Jude Muta. I'm a Program Officer for Africa in Washington, D.C.
Okay, let's get the ball rolling. You support election through pro-democracy organizations. in Africa and focus on Liberia. Tell us about your own engaging of your support to both democracy organizations in Liberia so far.
Sure. Well, we are certainly supporting a lot of pro-democracy organizations here in Liberia. I don't know, Jude, must be about 10 or 12 partners that we have. Many of them are working on the elections. Many of them are working on other aspects of democracy, like rule of law or human rights, women's participation, conflict resolution. But certainly elections has been a big component of our support here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they've captured it all. We also have partners that are working on budget processes. They engage the National Assembly, summarize budgets from government agencies in very easy to understand booklet and get it to the constituents. Yeah, and apart from that, yeah, they've covered it. We're doing work with human rights organizations that are focused on women political participation and all of that. But the elections is a very, very important one. Like we always say, elections are a crucial part of democracy. And so it's something that we care about and we consistently support across the continent.
For an election to be credible, transparent, and of course to be accepted on a national and international standards, it requires a level playing field. And so what is your organization doing in that direction to help?
Well, I think, for example, we're providing support to one of our core partners, the National Democratic Institute, which is working to try to encourage women, in particular. And I think in terms of having a level playing field, we need to have more women, not just in Liberia, but in many countries in Africa, to play a more prominent role, whether it's going out to vote or running for election. And so, the National Democratic Institute is, I think, working with a lot of women's organizations here, to try to increase the level of their participation in the electoral process.
And I can add in terms of that, not just in Liberia, but in other countries like Nigeria, we have organizations like Inclusive Friends Associate, which is mostly work with people with disability to include them in the political process of the country, and they also work closely with NDI in Nigeria. There is Yaga Africa working with a lot of young people to educate them on their civic rights. We just came from Nigeria to observe the elections, and we saw young people were manning the polling units and really doing incredible work. And thanks to support from NED, Yaga, for example, started as a very small organization, and today has really grown.
Supporting election is one aspect. Do you care to follow on post-election governance?
Absolutely. I mean, in fact, that's probably one of our most important objectives here during this visit has been to think about what the endowment can do to support democracy after the election. So, I think that as I was suggesting, justice sector, strengthening the justice sector, rule of law are issues that we will be, I think, particularly focused on.
Edition number 9 of Elections 2023 update is over. This is a half-hour radio program exclusively devoted to election issues in the countdown to the 2023 polls, a Public Trust Media Group PTMG production, and it's presented by me, Frank Sainworla, in partnership with this radio station. Thanks for listening. Ballots, not bullets.